into other people's boxes and trying to find disclosure in other people's opinions.
Hey YouTubers, welcome to part 3 of DCU LGBTA's Trans 101 with me, Carol, and Andy. In this episode we're going to be talking about binaries, gender norms, and trans education. So let us know what you think of the conversation down below in the comments.
I kind of like to appear.
But now that we're on camera, so
Let's start again.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Everything we've already said.
Yeah. But I think it's important to talk about intersex issues as well, especially when talking about non-binary trans people, because a lot of, I feel, the kind of disbelief people have about transgender people comes from this idea that there's a binary biological sex, which isn't the case. Like, about 9 times out of 10, whenever you hear someone talking about a binary thing, it's something that human beings made that generally does not happen in nature. So biological sex is not binary. Why would gender identity be binary? And like an awful lot of the arguments people make against trans people are based on biology, and you're kind of like, yeah, because you did secondary school biology, so you think you're a fucking professor. What you learned in science class in secondary school was bullshit. Atoms don't look like that little fucking spinning thing. It's all horseshit. But anyway, just don't rely on anything they taught you in secondary
My whole
school.
life has been a lie.
No, but it's a really interesting idea when people try and quote science to you to make you not believe who you've been for the largest amount of your life, you know, and a lot of people have these stereotypical ideas of what a trans person is, and you see it a lot in the media with any TV shows who have this like little trans character in it that doesn't really have a big role but is there for maybe comedy's sake or something like that.
Played by an actor who
A cis
is not.
actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if anyone here has ever seen Sons of Anarchy, there's a character in it, and it's a man playing this trans woman, and my god, these double D boobs, and not even real women, or sorry, cisgender women.
I might disagree with you on that, because there is, True Blood, the TV show True
Yeah,
Blood.
but that's very open-minded.
Okay,
Yeah, a lot of
suppose.
TV shows in the last few years have become very progressive about trans things.
But what I'm saying, what the point I'm getting
But I know what
across
you're
is,
saying,
in mainstream media or in mainstream society, people think a transgender person is a woman trapped in a man's body or a man trapped in a woman's body. It's actually nothing to do with that at all. Now, some trans people may identify with that idea and that notion and all to them. If that's the way they identify, that's fine. But what I find a lot of the time with trans people that I interact with and myself as a person is that I'm not trapped in my body. I'm trapped in the ideas that societies have about my body. I'm trapped in the idea that I had to play hurling and I played hurling.
It's horrific.
And
Try smoking.
yeah. And then even people who actually have an idea about trans people and transsexuality, they've heard about it, they've maybe read an article about it, they heard all the hype about Orange is the New Black and then started Googling 1 or 2 things, and they would say to me, why isn't your voice as high if you're on hormones? Or something like that, it's just the lack of education on the idea that you don't have to be a binary male or female is just, it's not there, it's not in the education system, therefore us as trans people have to do things like this. Now, I'm not saying we don't enjoy doing things like this. I do, I really do. I love being able to talk to people who have questions about me in an honest way. But had the education system been more open-minded to the idea about people like us existing in the first place, y'all probably wouldn't have been here asking your questions. Take that home and sleep on it.
Stick that in your juice box.
I have nothing else, so unless you ask me questions, I don't think I have much else to say in regards to my story or my experiences. So I'm gonna hand it to you because you are not talking enough for I'm not comfortable.
And you did this talk by yourself.
You're so inadequate.
You did this entire talk by yourself last year.
Exactly, to get a break.
I've been talking about this for 3 fucking years now, right?
Draw
Gonna
on
have a
your past
script.
experiences.
My past experience.
His past experience of giving this speech last
Oh,
year.
yeah.
Tell the story of the story of you telling the story.
If you start,
Absolutely
I'll
not.
prompt you at certain points.
She'll have some cards
She
in the back of
probably
the room.
knows better than you at
I think like I obviously agree with like what you guys are saying, and the part there like obviously about education, like I think the fact that it has to be like like I love doing these talks and stuff, but the fact that it has to be arranged as a safe space says pretty much everything that needs to be said about that. Like it has to be arranged that when you're telling people you're going to give a talk, you're like what on? You're kind of like oh well, I'm gonna go and talk about this, and then you open yourself up to a lot of questions in a public, not safe place. So for instance, I don't mind like answering any question people throw at me. Like I'm the LGBTQ rights officer in my college, and we're doing a thing called inappropriate question time. And what that is, it's me in a room, and people ask questions regardless of how inappropriate they think they might be worded. Because I think a lot of the time people are afraid to ask questions because people are often afraid that they'll word them incorrectly, they'll offend someone, they'll say the wrong thing, and then they don't ask the question, and as a result, they get their information from somewhere else that isn't, a person who can actually speak on their own experiences. And I think, like, with inappropriate question time, it's basically people just being, like, asking questions, and as long as it comes from... What is it?
It's like always what I get like.
That's my only thing in it. I'm like, my only thing on inappropriate question time is don't be a dick by asking if someone has one. That's the end of it. Like, after that, I'll explain to you. Yeah, okay, I'll answer your question. If it's offensive, I'll be like, it's offensive for this reason. This is why you are offending people. Don't ask people that like.
That's one of my favourite questions. I'm not messing. I'll be out in the club drinking, doing my thing. It's like, here, do you have a dick? And I grab his and say, do you want to find out?
I like to answer with when someone's like, have you got a penis? And I was like, are you going to go down on me? I was like, what? Are you going to go down on me? No. Well, then you don't need to know.
Turn down what? Sorry.
It's that whole thing of like the only people who really need to know what's in your pants are, yourself, your doctor, if it's relevant, and the person you're going to sleep with.
I walk around naked like a lot.
If you don't just eat,
Oh my
you
God.
don't know.
This girl is staying in my house. I'm starting to worry now.
Hide your dogs.
Nadia, lock the
Hide your
door.
kids, hide your-
It's a good thing we're not allowed to.
Hide your wife, hide your kids,
Hide your dogs.
You're making everybody else.
Your hamsters, your fish.
Your fish, Jesus Christ.
I read creepypasta.
This is getting like really illegal really quickly.
And it's all on camera.
What were we talking about?
So I guess we've kind of gotten into some of the depth of the topics, and from what you've heard us say so far, there is a massive range of topics, be it about education, be it about the philosophy, or society's reactions to us, or even our own personal journey. There's a lot of things you guys can ask questions about, and I think the best way we can go on from now, so we don't have to sit here jarred on what we might have to say next, is if you guys ask questions. There you go.
And so don't think any question is stupid because
Don't think any question is
What's
stupid.
binary?
Oh, right. Binary is buttocks. No, it's not. Okay, binary is actually no.
Do you want to draw it on the board? Would that help? There's chalk somewhere.
Do we have chalk?
Yes.
I can get you a copy of the gender bird.
I only have one chalk. There's only one chalk.
Do you want the gender bird person?
We only have the one chalk.
Oh, this is brilliant, yeah. No,
Yeah.
My writing is probably terrible because my mum's a primary school teacher and there's a fucking skill to being able to write on board that I don't have.
I know. Sorry, I tried doing it once and I kept rubbing off half of everything I was trying.
That's so cool.
Especially people who write with their left hand. They
Don't make mistakes though, because I need to go and get tissue to wipe it off, so off you go.
But I presume it's working.
I'm going
I was going to try to say
Let's do it. Fucking do
And does
it.
it wipe off at all?
We can get wet tissue.
Ah.
Yeah, it's just
There's a thing there.
I'm going to see where I started. For binary.
Yeah. So wait, are you doing a spectrum?
Yeah.
Do you want me to do umbrella then? If you're doing spectrum.
This is quickly turned into an art class.
Welcome to Trans 101, it always turns into an art class. Never had one of them.
I'll show you the most majestic eagle.
It's an art class without the
If any of
ID
you want
person
to
drawing.
join us, you know, it's this
It's an art
like
class without the ID person drawing anything.
Happened to me twice.
I just feel like it's different.
It's not really.
Okay.
This is the binary, and the binary is the idea that, sorry, I just kind of hijacked this, is that this is male and this is female. And then gender queer people and trans people are somewhere along
Way to go for hijacking the board, Benji. Gaw. So anyway, hey guys, hope you enjoyed this Trans 101 video. If you haven't seen the first two, be sure to check them out in the links in the description. If you guys have any questions or comments on the discussion we had in this video or any previous videos, just throw them down there in the comments section. Until next time, peace out.